Of course, I knocked something over. Hello, you wonderful people. Although I have no idea how many people are here. I think 3. All right, that's cool. That's cool. All right. So this is Galactus week. Last week I skipped doing any books at the top because not Galactus. This week is Etrigan. Last week was Galactus. Last week I skipped because Galactus was going to take so long. So 3 books today instead of just 1 or 2. One of the books I've talked about a lot. This is like something like the 3rd or 4th copy of the trade. I keep losing them. I must lend them and forget who I give them to because I keep not being able to find it. But this was, to my mind, I think Twilight is a very, very, very beautiful book. But just in terms of just pure drawing, I think what Jose Luis Garcia Lopez does here is his best work. I really think this is his best work. If any project, I mean, look at the gesture on this guy. It's incredible. If any project was owed an artist edition, like just a whole black and white Jose Luis Garcia Lopez thing, that would be this, or even perhaps a newly colored, like get Jose Luis Garcia Lopez to recolor the whole thing. Because I mean, this is still in that very, like, this green is the same flat green everywhere. It's like, it's not great, man. It's not great. Like the stairs are the same colors there. It's a very simple color that doesn't really serve the art very well. I mean, this is similar quality paper that was printed on. In fact, I think it was printed on better paper than this when it first came out. But this drawing, look at that drawing. Oh my God, that drawing. Oh, so good. So good. Look at the energy of this guy, this figure running. It's just like he took everything he learned from superheroes and he put it into this crime thriller. And it's just so good. Oh, so if I think it's out of print, so you have to look for it on the secondary market. You can tell by how old the DC logo is, how last time it was printed. It really deserves like a really high profile reissue. Get Jose Luis Garcia Lopez to recolor it. No, sorry. Well, Jose Villarrubia, maybe Dave McCaig, if you can prime away from The Walking Dead. This just deserves. It's like one of those classic art books that it's just so good. Stories are right too. 2 things. These arrived in the last week. This year's new Bill Sienkiewicz sketchbook. I get every single one as they come out. They're beautiful hardcover. Not much in the way of pages on the inside. Part of me wishes that with the out of print earlier sketchbooks that Bill would come around and do take 4 of them and put them out in one book. Like Bill Sienkiewicz's sketch collection, volumes 1 through 4. And that way you'd be able to get a new book with like maybe, a couple hundred pages. But these are always worthwhile. You get to see some of his work from Spider-Verse and some of his personal work. This is probably all commercial work done for Marvel for promotional stuff, because it's all the Marvel cinematic characters and then some stuff, maybe some DC stuff. So it's really interesting the way it's all put together here. I mean, just what he does with the line. Oh my God! Look at the Supergirl. Oh my God! Just the way he does those lips, so good. These little sketch cards. I think he did these a long time ago, so he must have just found scans back of them. Just a bunch of headshots. I love the way he'll drop in like a digital gray into some of the pieces for the sketchbook, just to establish the values. Because so many times he just outlines the values because he's going to color them. Look at that! Oh my God, so good. Oh, Frankenstein, Bruce Springsteen. So good. A little bit of Bruce Lee right at the end here. Look at that. I'm 100% sure that's digital color with some textures and everything. But wow, so good. And the other book is another out of print book. Here I am suggesting all these books that you have to go hunt. This is a Bert Silverman book on painting. I had the other one, which is his watercolor book, which has a technique that I tried really hard to make it work and I couldn't. I was essentially painting over a gessoed illustration board, and I couldn't just get the techniques. But he has a slightly different approach in here, and he talks about watercolor, oils, pastels. Here we go. Figures in oil, self-portrait in oil, portrait in pastel, 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 watercolor, watercolor. So he actually has all these demonstrations, so 7 demonstrations, and he has a whole talk about the techniques that he's approved. And this is I won't say at the peak or past the peak, but this is like he's well established, top illustrator, fine artist, doing portraits and everything, with a vast history of doing commercial and private fine art type work. So he really, really knows what he's doing at this time. Like a lot of products he's suggesting will probably been replaced in terms of like what to mix with oils. Like I'm going to use like purified linseed oil. Man, the summer went by so fast. I was so hoping to do some oil painting. So pure spike lavender oil. That's what I'm talking about. That's apparently the best, safest thinner to work with oil paint. So I was hoping to get time to do that this summer, but summer just flew by. But this is, I mean, the resource, I've already read half of it, and I've had it for about 10 days, maybe not even that. My bookmark fell out. That was what fell out. And I knocked over something as I went to pick it up. The bookmark fell out, but I know where I'm at. Here's the oils. It's just kind of like, here's like letting the oils run and everything. It's just so many different techniques. You can actually apply like essentially terps or solvents to oil pastels. And then after you do the drawing, you can actually manipulate it a bit. It's amazing stuff. Here's a watercolor. And this is him working on the gesso coated board. So the gesso resists the watercolor from going in. So he gets a very washy, washed out look to the watercolors, which is really interesting. And I think you can pull the color back a bit, so it becomes a little bit like an oil wipe technique. So I do want to try that soon. Again, but it's like, I still want to do the oils. So I'll get to it someday. And these are just a whole bunch of examples of his work. I mean, look at the colors in that piece. And this is like, what, early 80s reproduction, so the colors, are not going to be as good as the original, but they still look amazing here. Look at that painting. Oh my God. So this is a watercolor as well. Look at that. Just those values and subtleties in there. So good. So good. So it's a great book. Highly recommended. This I also picked up used, but apparently I got it. I found it on Abe Books for like, I think $25. So this should be, and it's a little beat up, a little warped and everything, but I want it for the content, not for the prettiness of it didn't even come with a dust jacket. But this is a great resource. I'm learning so much just reading through this again. So those are the 3 books, and I'm trying to go a little faster with the books. I know I can gab a little bit too long. I'm trying to keep these closer to like just over an hour. I did start on the Etrigan. I was working on something else, and I went, okay, I should put this down. And I went, maybe I should get some of those washes down, because I keep stopping because stuff has to dry. So I said, what if I do a little bit of the values down? It's still not dry from when I did it. I should have done it like this afternoon. But so it's Etrigan. There's going to be some like fire or some light coming up like directly underneath him. So this hand's going to be backlit. This hand's going to be front lit. So there's going to be some shadows coming up on top of the fingers. And then it's going to be light fading back here. And this is going to be to like a solid black with a gradation down here. And I'm probably going to do some paint and acrylic paint and airbrush on top of this to finish it like I did with Batman, the Joker, and Galactus. So this is audio is like angelic choirs. Cinder's Ask on Comicsology. That's I guess for a lot of people that's going to be the best I can do. It's for me. I still love paper. I'm an old man. I still love everything to be on paper. When Comicsology was its own thing before Amazon kind of borked it, I loved it. I was starting to buy books on Comicsology, and then they did their thing where it became really, really difficult just to find anything. I think since they shut that down, I haven't even opened up my Kindle once, because that's what I use my Kindle for. I'd load up my Kindle either with a novel for like travel. I used to carry like 3 or 4 books when I was traveling, and then I got a Kindle, and put like 2, 3 books on there, and so I was only carrying the Kindle. I wasn't carrying like 3 or 4 books, some of them hardcovers. Um, and then when I finally kind of broke down and started buying some digital comics, I was like, oh, I never read this graphic novel, and it's on sale. So, and then Amazon screwed it up. So, Amazon. Also, so yesterday, I got to be a guest on Comic Art Live from Comic Art Fans. They're on their YouTube channel. We had an interview in a live art sale, and I'm always worried about that because I took a good look into it, and I knew pretty quickly that I was a little outside the usual market. Like there was even some talk about it while we are on yesterday, where it seems like most of the art buyers are really, 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 really into Marvel. That seems to be what gets them happy. And I was like, oh God! I mean, most of everything I do is Second Coming, and then for myself, it's a handful of mostly DC characters. And I was surprised. I thought I might walk away without selling anything, but there was like a real big Johnny Quest fan who bought 2 Johnny Quest covers that were up there. Super Galactus fan, so that's Marvel, who bought the big Galactus painting I did a little while ago, last week actually, and a few other things, and it felt really, really good. The Batman that I did 3, 4 weeks ago, it found a new home. The Joker hasn't though, so I was actually kind of surprised. I thought so many people responded so strongly to that Joker, but I also understand if it never sells because it's a very creepy piece. Um, so I could totally understand if it's just too much for some people. But I was very, very happy. I think we sold like 9 pieces, and I was worried we wouldn't sell one. Honestly, I'm not like trying to be humble or anything. I was really, really concerned that it was going to be a nice interview, but I just wasn't going to appeal to the typical comic art fans market. And everyone there was incredibly lovely. Bill Cox, the host, was great. But and Yeah, it was just a good experience. I mean, I kind of hope they have me on again in maybe a year or something. I think that would be lovely. Um, Maybe in that period, Marvel will tap me to do some cover. I don't think so. I don't think so. Marvel has shown no interest in me or my work in since I've come back to comics. There was a few moments where like there was like some editor said, "You want to draw this fill in," um, and it was always like characters I had no connection to or interest in, and it's like so that's I guess that's a lot. Okay, so Marvel has shown interest in me for filler work, but even the editor that was interested in me doing so isn't there anymore. And to be honest, Matt Idelson at Dynamite is giving me all the Barbarella and Johnny Quest covers I want it's right now, and I got to say he's incredibly supportive, creative cover editor, and I'm happy if apart from Second Coming, it's just me doing Dynamite covers, Second Coming, and Witches. Um, I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, I guess I do have a weird face. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's like I got a lot of people who really, really love the Joker, but I can also understand why it's not like again. It's the first time I've drawn a Joker that wasn't smiling. Um, I mean, I can almost draw that smiling Joker on reflex now. As I draw a smiling, Etrigan here. Get the values in here. Yeah, it's also the kind of thing. Uh, it was a little weird. Like I thought from a collector standpoint, I put the very, very, very first page of Second Coming up. It was one of my favorite pages. I thought it turned out really well. It was also the very first page of the project. So I thought, you know what? I've had it for a long time. There might be a collector who wants it. It's one of the few pages I have left from that first issue. I said it's time to let it find a home, and someone wanted it, so that was great. So again, even though I don't think any of the Second Coming covers sold, I gave them the first cover from Only Begotten Son, and all the covers from Trinity, and no one. There's some appreciative comments about it, but I don't think anyone wanted one of those. And I totally understand that. There's a certain sense of how to put this without sounding too cynical. I think in terms of comic art sales, a big part is what you're drawing in terms of like commercial sales. If it's Batman, it's far more likely to sell than say compared to Aquaman, which is actually an example that was brought up in comments yesterday. There is a fan base for Aquaman. There's like a lot of people who love Aquaman. But you know, it's more of a almost like a destination type thing. It's like you have to find the Aquaman fan for them to do it but there's Batman fans everywhere, if that makes sense. And then there's the thing where it's like, does the artist, even if the work is good, is the artist famous enough? So, is that the right term I want to use? You know, I'm going to put a little wash right over all the skin tones because none of it's going to be as white as the fire. I'm trying to maintain like highlights on this stuff, but everything's going to be like with the. I want the white to be right down here, like the lightest point here at the bottom. Maybe I should put this down a bit. There we go. Oops, tilted a bit. Yeah, I want the light source to be down here amongst the hands. Have the super contrast with this hand here in the foreground. So these can all be washed back a bit. You know what? I have a second camera I bought just to do that. And I got a friend who's more tech savvy, and he was gonna talk me through setting that up, and it still hasn't happened. I'm just really not. I don't want to say I'm a tech idiot. But I'm not very tech literate. So it's like once it gets set up for me, I think I'll be pretty good at maintaining it. Because I was using OBS, and then OBS did something weird, and I don't know how to fix it. So it's like that was another thing my friend was going to help me with. So it's like, I'm that guy. It's like, man, help me. So yeah, so at some point I'm going to be tech savvy enough to have a camera pointed at my mug during the streams, and I assume at that point I'll also probably have the setup better done, so I can actually have the other artists I want to talk to on as well. I really love to be able to have another artist here, like I have a split screen where it's me and say Mike Ruth or Christian, like some of the artists I just love out there, and just talk about a process and talk about each other doing the work that we're doing on live. I just think that would be a wonderful way to expand what this channel can do. I mean, it would be wonderful to actually give some of this platform additional voices, additional opinions to express themselves here. Yeah, so that's where my mind's at. So probably around the same point, I actually start streaming where you get what paper? Okay, hang on here. Yeah, as soon as I figure out how to get the second camera running with this, I'll probably also have sorted out how to. I'm just going to go right over all these teeth here and pull it back with paper towel. Okay, so part of the graininess is the fact that I'm using gouache and not watercolor. Gouache is a grainier pigment than watercolor in general. And this is Winsor Newton. And this is, you know what? Let me grab the package. There's only a couple sheets left in it. Hang on 1 second. Here we go. It was just outside the headset range. So this is, all the 11x14s have been done on Strathmore ready cut watercolor paper. And I saw it like this. I went, wow. So it's like smaller size, 500 series, which is high quality. Cut to a much more portable size that goes great on these graphics Gatorboard watercolor things I bought a while ago and I just love. It was actually, I want to bring up something. It's like, so I was Friday night, I popped in on Tyler Crook's Friday night stream. Yeah, so you can see it, there's a little bit of grain here because there is a little bit of grain in the paper. It's acid-free, archival, 100% cotton. You get 6 sheets cut like this. It's wrapped in plastic, so it's protected. It's great. So it's really handy. And this is coming from a guy who used to always work in watercolor blocks, and I find them just unworkable these days. But Tyler, he's done. If you're not familiar with him, he's done a lot of Hellboy related work. He's also done his own creator-owned thing at Dark Horse called the Lonely Hunters, which is about. I don't want to spoil it. It's basically, it's a really beautiful little supernatural monster hunter book. So if you like, monster hunter books, you're gonna love it. I'm a fond of it. I want to get there's an upsized edition I want to get soon. So, but I was watching him, and what he does is he just tapes his paintings to regular foam core. So like the stuff that's softer and about a third as thick as this board, right? So it would be probably a little thicker than this brush. So you can see how heavy the Gator board I'm using. So it's about at least twice, probably 2.5 times the thickness of a regular piece of foam core, and it's got this almost wood level layer of mostly waterproof paper. It's really, 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 really hard, and I just love working on it. It just feels like if you can see through here, you can see the staples. There's been a few times where I've been working on this board and I stapled and I forgot to mask off the edges. So hopefully the mask works. It doesn't bleed under like it did last in some of the other areas. But that's the yeah. Strathmore used to be great. And I'm thinking specifically about the Bristol. The Strathmore Bristol has really dropped in quality. Despite getting complaints from top artists like J.H. Williams and other people complaining publicly about Strathmore's drop, I will use Strathmore 400, Strathmore 500 when I know I'm not going to do anything other than straight line. But my favorite comic art board is from Eon. I put a link in the description of every video. I think they put up beautiful heavyweight vellum blanks, so it doesn't have all the comic guidelines on it because I don't really need those. I do all that stuff. Everything gets transferred to the board as I need it. And on top of that, they of course have plate finishes and everything if you want smoother stuff. I've played around. The guy who runs Eon sent me a sample pack ages ago, and the plate is very nice. If I was going to start working on plate, I would definitely be using their stuff too, because the lines come down super crisp and smooth. I like my messy, sketchy lines, even when I scan, because I'm using really, really precise tools, but I'm working on such a rough surface. When they scan, all the lines come out a little jaggedy, and I like that, but I'm strange. So, but the Strathmore watercolor paper, the 100% cotton stuff, I think they still dominate the market. Fabriano has some beautiful, beautiful watercolor papers to work with. I like them. In fact, I've done some ink drawing on just hot press Fabriano cream colored watercolor paper Some of my first Inktober pieces were done on that, and that stuff is gorgeous to work with. So I can highly recommend that. But yeah, if you're using watercolor, acrylics or gouache, Strathmore watercolor paper is perfect. It really is. It's they haven't lost a step there. But their illustration board, eh. In fact, I don't even know if they're making illustration board anymore. But their Bristol board, yeah, not so great. I'll use it in a pinch. I have a nice stock of older stuff that I'll use if I'm in a pinch. I just have to use it. But I think I want a darker line there. Yeah. So Strathmore used to be great, is great in some areas, not great in all areas. There we go. Yeah, I want that. I want this big black shape right up here. I can just switch to a bigger brush to get it that way. Which one should I use? Nice flat brush? Yeah, sure. There's some cheap flat brushes I buy, and I don't take particularly good care of them with the primary intent because I want them to be a little stiffer, so I can actually mix and flatten, spread out acrylics, gouache, whatever I want. And if they're too soft, they won't spread the medium as thinly as I want it. And so I'm putting on, like, if you can see here, there we go. See how much gouache is on this brush? So I'm putting it on, it comes on really thick, but the brush is stiff. So I can spread that super black dark pigment right into it. And because, I can always reactivate it, it allows me to do other really interesting effects in this too. It's almost like becoming like a paint stick when I do it like this. I can do dry brush effects, man. It's so cool. And if it goes on too heavy, because it's gouache, I can pull it back with water. There was part of me that was considering do a complete full value black and white painting, and then next week come back and do a color over painting, because that's another way of doing it. I could just do like thin layers of acrylic thinned out with matte medium, and then it becomes a full color piece, which is a great way to produce it. But I realized here we are. We're in. Is this the last weekend of 24, 25, 25? Yeah, this is the last full weekend of August, and I have to start devoting more time to the next Coven book. There's a lot of work done on it, but I have so much more to do. That all the streams from now until the end of October, so all of September, all of October, are going to be witch streams. I hope that doesn't disappoint anyone. But it's going to be a combination of me doing. I think when I'm all the stories, actually more than enough stories are done. The problem is I have to pare down the stories. I've got too many stories for the Coven book. I think I want to save it. The plan is Coven Tales from the Witch House is this October's project through Zoop. And I'm actually quite upset because the book should have been out already, but apparently there's a backlog at the fulfillment house. Something else came in really late, but it was ahead of me in line. So people should already have their covens, but it's just this is where we're at. So that they tell me it's like imminent that it's going to be going out. That's a nice black shape there. I think I'm going to pull some of that into the wet spot here and darken this. Yeah. So in fact, I think I'm almost done the cover. I've been working on interior pages. And like I got about 8 stories laid out and started on. Problem is the book won't be able to hold all 8 of those stories, so I got to cut at least 1 or 2. especially since one of them I think I'm gonna have to relay it out and add 2 pages just to make it work better, more worthwhile for the readership. Hopefully, you guys. But yeah, so that's where that stands. It's really Coven should have been delivered in July. It was back from Korea that long ago, and everything's just been unexpected delay after unexpected delay that I've literally had no control over, and the Zoop people haven't had any control over. It's just that type of, I hate blaming stuff on COVID all this time later, but apparently it's COVID. COVID has messed up so many supply chains on so many different levels, and instituted so many protocols. Anything getting shipped anywhere is just slower now. I think I saw a video, was it on YouTube or was it on a different platform? Someone was talking about there's this damage that's been done to international shipping during COVID that no one's recovered from. Not America, not Europe, not anything. So even domestic shipping, I know Canada Post has been having problems, and I don't fully understand why. And apparently the problem is no one fully understands why. There's staffing issues. There's new handling protocols that no one is really comfortable with. I mean, COVID was 4 years ago, more or less, but we're still living in the COVID world, and COVID is still a factor in everyone's life. And you just kind of go, geez, I just want everything to go back to normal so everyone can just get on with all the stuff that they enjoy. So yeah, I'm pissed off that Coven's not in everyone's hands, because I'm working on the next book, and it's like, it'd be really nice for everyone to have the book before I really start doing promo and public production on the new book, which I'm doing. So, okay, so on my screen there is a dark faded bar like right along there, and I'm not sure if that's just on the monitor I'm using because I'm streaming through it, or if you guys do, because I don't know if you guys are seeing this top part clearly. I've always wanted to ask about that, but this is the first time I'm looking at what the values of what I'm putting up here, and you can't see them because of that gray bar from my end. Looks okay, great. Did I tell you guys about one of the special stretch goals? Well, not stretch goals. One of the special rewards I'm doing for the next witch book. I'm doing a gallery of backers. Okay, great, no bar. What I'm going to be doing is one of the possible rewards is you get your portrait as a character from the world. From the world of Coven, drawn. I draw you, and you get the original artwork for it, of course. No, I need more opaque paint there. But you also get turned into a character from the world. Basically, in terms of world building, the only people who can be witches are women or people who identify as women. If that, there's actually a story for the anthology that's gonna touch on that. But you can be a witch hunter, so a bad guy, someone who studies magic, or a wizard, werewolf, vampire, demon, devil. They're different. Lycanthrope, some form of fairy that's still living in the world. Lots of options what you can be. You get drawn as a portrait, and you'll be in a gallery in the back of the book. It's going to be limited to be up maybe around 20 portraits tops. And you so you get your art in there. You get the original drawing of you as a more likely not period character from the witch world, and the potential, if I need a character that fits that bill, I will probably reach out and say, hey, can I use the character I created for Tales from the Witch House for this story that I'm doing. I want a historical vampire hunter. I want to mention them, and so then you were that guy in the book, and so potential to be double usage of you in the witch world. So I think it's kind of cool. I'm going to do some examples. I'm going to ask some of the people who gave me pull quotes, like Bill Sienkiewicz or Mike Mignola, if they want to be the test cases. So for the examples for the campaign. So again, it might just be me, but I think that's a cool thing. I don't think I've seen rewards like, hey, you get to be killed by the character in this book, or you get to be in the crowd scene. But it's like, no, you're gonna actually have a legitimate portrait. You get the artwork that's done to turn you into that character, and you officially exist in the world of witches, or the version of you that gets created for that exists in the world of witches. So. Starting to get the values close to where I want them in this. This is going to go darker. Some of this stuff is going to be like there's a shadow there. I like a kind of like a messy bit of values back here. This came out a little darker than I want. I'm going to pull some of that. There we go. So a lot of what's going to make this piece work is getting the core values of the darkest darks and the midtones set here, and that a lot of the work is going to be done with pushing some of the darks a little bit darker with some acrylic, probably airbrush spray, and then painting the highlights forward. So a lot of the highlights are going to be done in acrylic paint or gouache or colored pencil after I pretty much stop for the night and let this fully dry, because I don't want to mess that up. Oh, hey, it's opened. I heard about it. It was originally going to be called Pussy Island, but now it's called Blink Twice. Zoe Kravitz, probably most famous for playing Catwoman in the last movie. She directed a movie. It's ostensibly a borderline horror thriller, and I didn't see any direct promo about it, how soon it was out. It's out now. Every one of my friends who've seen it loved it. So it's a great little thriller. And I'm gonna try and see. I have a gut feeling, because I mean, like, you can't compete with Deadpool, Wolverine. There's other bigger movies coming out soon. I don't know how long a movie that didn't get that much promotion is going to be able to withstand the market. It might leave theaters in like a week or two. So I heard it's also beautifully directed and worth seeing on the big screen. So I thought, I'll tell you guys. So Blink Twice stars Channing Tatum, Christian Slater, Haley Joel Osment, like a whole bunch of actors, dude actors, and they're terrible dudes. Um, I kind of know the premise, so I know that all the guys are terrible in this movie, especially Channing Tatum. And but I want to see it. I want to see it. It looks really, really, really good. Um, I believe we also we already talked about Alien Romulus. I really enjoyed it. I know some people are just hating it, which is unfortunate. But I found it a return. A lot of people are saying it's too derivative, which I get, but I mean, it's a relaunch of a very well-known franchise that really kind of lost its way, largely because of Ridley Scott's approach to it. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a good return to form. And one of my friends told me, I said, I thought I saw something. And I asked him to keep an eye out for it when he saw it for the second time. And he confirmed that what I saw. I don't want to tell anyone because apparently it's a bit of a spoiler. But an actor, there's a character from the first film that appears in a new incarnation here, but there's also every indication that another actor from the first film is there during the movie. So I got to see it again because there's apparently another thing I missed that also enhances that idea. So I'm excited. Excited. I'm going to put a really fine wash here. Then I'm muted a bit and hair dry it. Use my hair dryer on it to get it all dry, so I can actually mix up some of the pigments. So I can do the black airbrush coming down here to get the value set. I want this to be a thinner wash than that. That's too dark. Oh, I forgot to put the piece of scrap here. How dark is this? Yeah, it's still too dark. Oh, that's better. All right. This is me just killing all the whites in the paper. This is not a traditional watercolor piece, so I don't have to try and preserve whites as my highlights. I'm leaving the eyes white because I don't have to worry about them because they're just going to be a white paint exercise when everything's done. All right, I wonder if I mute my mic as opposed to turn this off. Does it turn off the sound? Turning off the sound. Well, no, it doesn't. The other mic kicks in. All right, I have to mute it on the laptop. Hopefully I'll remember to turn the mic back on after. 1 second. That wasn't too bad. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my airbrush engine. I'll compress it. Airbrush engine. Yeah, like that. Hopefully that's not too loud. I'm going to mix up hopefully a nice thin but dark black. Because thinned out watercolor and gouache go through airbrushes like the best. So I'm going to just pour this correctly into my airbrush. Hopefully there's no chunks of gouache in this, because that's always terrible. So, see, the airbrush is full of nice little piece of paper in case I need to mask. Cool. And that was all of it. I got to mix up some more. I got a friend who does a lot of airbrush. I was talking to him, but he does almost everything in acrylics. And what he's done is he's mixed up, like he says he's got something like about 100 bottles of pre-mixed paints that he uses. Like he buys like a whole bunch of I think he uses all Liquitex fluid and Golden High Flow. I use Golden High Flow. I haven't tried the Liquitex fluid yet. But he uses the Liquitex high fluid, but he doesn't want to futz about mixing new colors all the time. So he's made all these like in color mixes that he knows he's going to rely on. So he's filled up these little jars by mixing a whole bunch of other paints. So that's pretty cool. Now he pretty much only does airbrush. Like he draws and then he starts putting the airbrush and then he paints on top of the airbrush where most of the work's done with the airbrush. And he works a lot bigger than I do. He's not online. It's pretty much just everything he does is like production work. I think he got into it by doing like matte paintings and stuff like that. Really talented. He should be online. Trying to remember. I think I worked on him on a TV show in like 2001 or 2002. That's my memory of it. Haven't talked to him in a while. I think the last time I talked to him was like 2 months ago when we were talking about this. You guys are really, really quiet. Say something. You have any questions? Any cool stuff that you watched, talked about, read? Any of that stuff. That's all cool stuff to talk about. Something. Someone's always smart, eh? Someone's always going to be smart. All right, cool. So I mixed up more than enough for one load here. So I should be able to get a second. There we go. Oh, this is much darker too, so that's good. The wonderful thing about using the airbrush is it puts on the paint so flat. It's so easy to draw on top of it. It's becomes a wonderful surface to work on. The gouache gives us like almost like an extra little bit of too. I just want to do a quick rinse in the airbrush. Basically what I'll do is I'll take, like I have this massive tub of water right next to my work area. And I just load up mostly clean water because it's already used the brush for a bit. But it just blasts a lot of the water through. And after I do like 4 or 5 times of that, I take, here, take my little water thing here. I fill it up as like clean water, which starts cleaning out the cup a little bit more effectively. I just blow that into the bin. And give it a wipe out with some paper towel. Oh, look what the airbrush did to that. That's kind of cool. Cool. My son offered to be my professional airbrush cleaner. My sound is distant. Maybe that looks. Is this any better? Thanks. Thanks, Dre. Beacon 23 and Prime. Beacon 23, is that the one with, oh God, I'm blanking on her name. She played Cersei. Apartment of the Watchmen cartoon. Yeah, I think Dave is getting money from that. I believe that's the deal that they sorted out, that Dave gets all the licensing money because Alan doesn't want any of that stuff. He wants nothing to do with it. So I watched it anyway. Yeah, I watched the first part because I was curious how, after what I think is, I mean, it was a disaster to my mind. The Snyder Watchmen cut was just not good. I thought the opening sequence was good, but right after that fell apart. But it's very much like an incredibly literal adaptation of Watchmen. And it's honestly what they should have done before they tried to get a movie done. Sorry, I just want to see if I can try that faster, but put it on pretty thick there. It's yeah, I mean, it's like you can't, like the scene where Adrian Veidt deals with the assassin or would-be assassin. That issue's perfect symmetry, and if no one's told you this before, the panel layout front to the middle is the mirror version of the middle to the end of the comic pages. It's literally symmetrical panel layouts all the way through the book. And I think I only noticed that in the second reading of it because I was like a super Watchmen fanatic when it was coming out. I was so addicted. I think I liked the first issue, and then the second issue, I was kind of like, oh shit. It was like it just dawned on me how important this book was going to be. So I think, to my mind, doing a literal animated adaptation of the graphic novels, getting the actual pure story out there, is largely a precursor to remaking the movie in about 5 to 6 years. I think Warner Brothers knows this movie should be able to do better in terms of like the story and everything. And I should use this or colored pencil. I want to start pushing the values from the line work here. This is the pencil I used to trace down everything here after I did my initial drawings. It goes pretty dark, but it doesn't go as dark, especially when the paper is still retaining some moisture. Usually I use like an actual colored pencil. This is an ivory black. Let's see how dark this goes on this. Yeah, paper still. It looks dry. It's touch dry for a lot of areas, but it's not. It's not dry. It's just dry approximate. Yeah, I'm not seeing much of a value change, even though I'm going with black over gray. Yeah, it's so black there because this paper is dry. I could do markers. Markers or pens. Waterproof markers or pens. That might be the smarter thing to do. I was trying to remember how waterproof these are. Hang on. Yeah, these are not very waterproof. What waterproof pens do I have? Let's see if this is waterproof. It's been a while since I've tried to reactivate. I always forget which pens are waterproof, which ones aren't, because I don't do mixed media on this type of approach. Yeah, and that's waterproof, water soluble 2. What about? Can't remember. This is like. Oh yeah, okay. That's a different type of permanent. I don't want to put that on here. Stinky permanent, like super chemical. What about my Unipin markers? Because I could use that. I laid on a super, like this Unipin lens, super nice black and nice stroke. I think this is not waterproof either. No. Man, everything I got is water soluble. Because sometimes I'll just do an ink drawing and I'll go in with water after. And that's more of like a con thing, which I haven't done for a long time. So I haven't done cons in a long time. To get the water active on the what I could do. I don't want to. We're not even at 8 yet, are we? Oh, we're practically at 8. Okay, so I'm okay if like I hit an impasse and call it at 8. Where's a white? There we go. Because I moved everything to put the water tub here. All right. See if it's dry enough to take a white. A little bit. And the wonderful thing about this is if the white goes down here, I can put the acrylic over it and it actually doesn't sink into the paper surface as much because the wax binder and the colored pencil holds it up. No, you know what? To actually do good work, I'm gonna have to let this completely dry. That sucks. I think because I've done now. This is like the 4th gray tone piece I'm not fiddling with here. Oh, hang on. Here we go. Hey, Paula, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. Oh wow, here we go. Yeah, the book is it's perfect. I mean, it really. Alan Moore at one point actually said he's of the opinion that Watchmen should never be adapted, and now it's purely people doing it for money. So, yeah, I mean, because sometimes like the voice actors are good. I think honestly, if nothing else, in comparison to the movie, the animated series is significantly better. And Anson, you're absolutely right. Watching the animated, Watchmen movie is literally a masterclass. No, that didn't work. Which is, from a storytelling kind of view, it's worthwhile right there. That, to my mind, that is, from a creative standpoint, like watching where other people make mistakes. That's worthwhile to me. That's worth the price of admission. Yeah. this area dried because the gouache, I put it on thick enough that it's actually got a little bit of tooth right there. And even though the paper underneath is dry, the paint is grabbing the media. But here we're really close to the paper. It's not grabbing anything. And I needed to grab more so I can do the effects I want to do. So yeah, so I think this being the fourth exercise in this media, I just got all the stupid, not really sure what I'm doing stuff out of the way, and I actually know what I'm doing. And that means I get to work faster, which is great. You know, it had moments, but I think it was fundamentally flawed because there's no way that Alan Moore would ever conceive of a story that was about how superheroes were terrible when you gave them that much power, as an exercise in giving all that power to a cop. So to my mind, it had great performances, had great directing. Its point was so besides what Watchmen was about. I think it was almost an insult to the work by the time it ended. At the end of it, Dr. Manhattan should have taken the power away with him. He should have left like he did at the end of Watchmen. Realized he's coming back, it was a mistake, and that no one should have his power. And yet he gave it to someone who was a cop with anger management issues. So that was my problem with it. Was weird up until the last episode of that series. I was kind of enjoying it. I just felt it really fumbled the landing in a bad way to me. Yeah. So okay, so this is I'm gonna start wrapping this up. Next week, returning to witches. I'm probably because I think ages ago I started working on the first page of the first story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the first page of the second story. Hopefully I'll have it fully penciled and ready to go. So I might even be able to ink at least half the page, or at least one of the complicated panels on the stream and talk about the book in general and like what the premise of each story is without spoiling it, hopefully. I'll finish this in a couple days. I'm going to let this dry overnight, probably pick it up tomorrow morning before I start, working on covers again. Yeah. So the usual end of stream spiel. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you like what I've gone on about in this video and you like what I've done in past videos. Please subscribe. That helps me tremendously. I mean, the ultimate goal is to somehow make pennies on my videos. I think the number is if I hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of viewing, or within a year, YouTube starts paying, and it's negligible. So I'll probably, maybe I'll be able to buy a meal once a month off of YouTube earnings, but that's still in the future. I'm only at like 755 subscribers, and I think I'm around 2,000 hours watching. So I think I have to. It'll probably be. I'm thinking the way one of my friends told me about this a while ago. Probably be around 1,500 subscribers before I actually have enough view hours to get monetized. So I'm about halfway there. So I think that's pretty cool. Dozens of pennies. You are absolutely right. A God night would be kind of awesome. That means I would probably sleep really well. If you want to support me more directly, there's always my $1 a month Patreon. I've had a few people ask about, I opened up a tier a while ago, $25 a month. At the end of 1 year, you get an 11/17 commission of your choosing. That's because, the big pieces are usually so expensive for people, and they all got scooped up. I've had a few people ask about them, but not follow through. As long as it doesn't end up being more than 2 or 3 a month, I'm okay opening another slot because I don't want to ever have to rush these because these things, I want to do beautiful pieces of work. So if you're interested in the commission and you're more than happy to wait a year for it and pay it off monthly, that's a great avenue. You just sign up for the $1 a month and I'll open up the elevated level for you. Trying to think what else. My Instagram, Richard Pace. I think it's Richard_Pace on Instagram. So that way you can see everything, but not timely. And a lot of it ends up being censored because Instagram is puritanical these days. I'm also on Cara, which is the anti-AI artist and photographer platform. I'm on Bluesky, which seemed to be the initial replacement for Twitter. But it's also kind of I think social media is so diversified, everything's stagnating right now. But those are the places you can find me. Hey, Jeff. All right, well, come to Toronto, buy me dinner. I'll take it. So those are the places to find me. Next week, it's going to be witch work. It's going to be witch work all the way through September, all the way through October. Nothing but witches all the time. I got 99 problems, but witches aren't one. That's it. So next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. A friend of mine, I don't know if you guys noticed, but my placeholder YouTube picture was fuzzy. Every time I put a new one, I was like, I do these really high res thumbnails, and they always look terrible. And a friend goes, maybe you should do them as PNGs. And I do that. It's perfect. So now I know how to make my thumbnails look pretty. All I got to do is figure out how to have the second camera going, and then how to actually have like other artists on and talk about stuff. But yeah, so this will be done within a couple of days, post on social media, so everyone go, oh, look, he finally finished it. And then everyone will get sick and tired of my witches for 2 months. And then I'll probably jump back to doing something. What do I do in November? I don't know. You know what? Actually, a lot of people have been asking about smaller commissions, the ones that would be available through my big cartel. So November might be the smart month to open up commissions so people can buy gifts for friends and family or for themselves for Christmas. So what I might do is I might open a limited number of commissions in November for people to do that. But that's over 2 months away now. So I want you all to have an amazing week. Thank you so much for hanging out and chatting with me. It's always a wonderful thing. And hopefully you like the books I showed at the top of the video, and you like the process, seeing how I start one of these paintings. Hopefully it's not too much. There's part of me that would like to okay, save it and finish it next week, but I gotta get on the witches. All right, everybody, you have an amazing night. And I hope you have the best possible week that you can have, and that you're free next Sunday night. Good night.